So yeah, there are numerous benefits to both marathons and then ultras. Really, maybe the biggest one is a sense of accomplishment. When people are engaging in these extreme sports, it's really for their personal aspects. And I want to kind of squash that myth that it's an unhealthy activity. People are doing too much and they're beating themselves up. Now, granted, that's going to be a part of it, like that the training is difficult, there's an injury risk. But as far as the health benefits, like the biggest one is a sense of accomplishment. I mean, imagine for yourself, like how good you're going to feel when you get this incredibly difficult task done. So there's this self-actualization, this idea of becoming your best self when you're able to compete marathons and ultra marathons and extreme sports of that nature. There's also the idea of building life skills. Like when you have to dedicate yourself to the training, the discipline, overcoming the obstacles, the focus, these are skills that'll apply to life. And so participation in these sports really have a tremendous amount of benefits in these ways to help people really feel like their best selves. Rather than running away from the experience, the idea is that you can lean into the experience and interpret it as something that's positive. So we're going to be involved with a lot of pain, for example, and we like to run away from pain. We don't like pain. And you would imagine that people running marathons and ultras have to have a different relationship with that. But sometimes what pain could actually mean is a sign that you're doing something difficult and succeeding, or the more pain that you're leaning into means that you're actually achieving your goals. So that positive reappraisal is an important characteristic for successful athletes in this domain. And the other one is having less of a response to negative emotions. You're gonna have a fair share of adversity show up, things go wrong, aches, pains, blisters, exhaustion, unexpected challenges. And the more successful athletes are ones that don't respond so strongly to those negative emotions, but rather they can have a more muted response and then switch to more problem solving. If you want to avoid not finishing, like what are the 3 things that are necessary so that you don't quit? The first one is really developing your sense of self-efficacy, which is a fancy way of saying confidence, but self-efficacy is the belief that you can do something specific at a specific time. And side note, the best way to develop that self-efficacy, confidence, is to prepare. Sometimes people think that confidence is this psychological thing and skill that you have to build, but I'm telling you, it's the natural side effect of preparation. So don't worry about your confidence, worry about your preparation. That's absolutely number one. And then the confidence should flow from the evidence of your training. So having a high self-efficacy is one. But the second one is having the intent to finish. And you might think, okay, no duh, right? That's obvious. Like, why would you do this race and not intend to finish? But really the commitment to it, the idea that I want to do this no matter what. A lot of my work with athletes and non-athletes alike is that I'm not a big fan of motivation, because motivation doesn't last, and we would never get to work and do the difficult things if we had to rely on motivation. So we have to rely on commitment. And this idea of a commitment with an intent to say, I'm going to finish, this idea, no matter what, is going to really give you much more of a drive, and that tends to separate. So if you don't want to quit, you have to kind of really make that decision ahead of time and say, hey, I'm going to be really willing to feel what I need to feel in order to finish, to make the adjustments in order to finish. So point number 2 is having the intention of finishing. Number 3, low avoidance coping. What does that mean? I think we all do it to an extent. We don't like something, we don't do it. We procrastinate. If I don't want to do the dishes, I'll find something else to do instead. And I know I didn't get to the dishes because I was busy. It's this avoidance coping that's very human and very natural, that we want to run away or move away or distract from the thing that we don't like. But that can be very problematic in marathons and in ultras and other extreme sports, because there's no place to run from these negative experiences. So if you want to finish your low avoidance coping, the idea that you actually want to be able to lean in to the adversity, be willing to feel the pain, the adversity, the difficulty in service of your accomplishment, is going to be the 3rd critical step.